for these lessons. Year 7, welcome for this lesson. Year 7, I'm live now. Mr. Willis Wandere, I'm teaching the Roman history right now. Year 7's tuning in. This is the 11th topic, and we are going to discuss about Julius Caesar, one of the leading statesmen in the era of the Roman Republic. But before that, just to recap some of the main topics we've gone through. Those of us who've not been around, we have the first topic looked at how do we know about history, and particularly how do we know about the Romans. The Romans lived 1,500 years ago, but how does a modern historian know about the Romans? That's the first topic we were able to handle in class, and we were able to look at the sources of history, how a modern historian will reconstruct history. And then we looked at archaeology, the second topic. It's a very important source of history. And when we discussed about archaeology, we were able to reconstruct archaeology and see it as a science. That was very important when we were handling archaeology. So archaeology is very important. And then after that, we looked at the question, can you always trust historical sources? And we realized that historical sources sometimes can be unreliable. Then we started looking at the origin, the beginning of the Roman Empire. We're able to look at the theories advanced, and some of them are oral traditions, like the legend of Remus and Romulus. We are able to analyze that in class. Then we looked at expansion of the Roman Empire, how big the empire extended to, and we were able to look at the stages, the 4 stages of expansion of the Roman Empire. We were able to do that in class. And then after that, we started looking at the Roman army, and we looked at various sections of the Roman army and the training that is in the Roman army. After that, we looked at how did the Roman army fight, the techniques, the strategies employed on the ground by the Roman army, how it fought on the battlefront, how the Roman army fought on the battlefront. And then after that, we looked at the army in peacetime. We were able to look at the army. What role did the Roman army play during the peacetime when they were not on the battlefront, when they were not fighting? That's what we were able to discuss in class. What did the army do during peacetime? And then we analyzed the Roman Republic, the structure, the consuls, the Senate, the tribune, the assembly. Those are the structures in the last lesson, which we were analyzing about this, the political organization, if you like it, of the Roman Republic. We were able to look at the class of citizens, the peasants and the patricians in the Roman army, of you like the plebeians. Today, we have to look at one of the leading statesmen, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, very important because he is going to play the role of transition between the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire. He's going to be a person that will, after being stabbed 23 times by the senators, Rome now has emperors. Augustus Caesar, the first Roman emperor, was a nephew to Julius Caesar. But today we want to analyze Julius Caesar, one of the leading statesmen in the Roman Empire and a great military campaigner. Julius Caesar, very successful in his wars, both abroad, conquering countries like Gaul, the modern France, Spain, Egypt, and winning a civil war back at home. Therefore, we are talking about a great statesman and a great general, military general. The two tasks combined together to make who Julius Caesar was, until the senators were jealous of him and they planned, conspired, and they stabbed him 23 times. Julius Caesar, a man that played that role of transition in the Roman Republic to usher in the Roman Empire. So first of all, as a statesman, he won the seat for the consul in BC 60, Julius Caesar becomes a consul. And when we were talking about the structure, the political organization of the Roman Republic, we realized that the structure was the most powerful organ. It was the executive arm. Either today you equate it to being the president and the prime minister. There were two of them. So very important. He wins the election for being a consul and takes power in Rome at that particular time. We are analyzing Julius Caesar as a statesman. We are analyzing Julius Caesar as a statesman. First of all, after taking power, he comes up with a new constitution for the country where the various powerful people in the provinces, we remember the areas that had been conquered were known as the Roman provinces, where he suppressed the powers of the governors in the provinces, very astute, pragmatic, therefore, to make them not be very powerful. That is one of the things Julius Caesar comes with, a new political order in Rome, able to control the other provinces which were far-flung from the central Rome itself. Julius Caesar, we are analyzing him as a statesman, and we are looking at some of the reforms. The first one, coming up with a new political order, a new law that perhaps made the powers of the governors in the provinces to be less. Then he's going to ensure that there's law and order. During his reign, the reign of Julius Caesar, law and order was maintained both at home and abroad, something that is perhaps a legacy left by Julius Caesar. One of the times the Roman Republic was so peaceful because he was able to maintain control back at home and abroad in the conquered provinces. Therefore, you are talking about a very astute statesman, Julius Caesar, maintaining law and order during that particular time. We are looking at the reforms as a council, as a great statesman. What did Julius Caesar do? What did Julius Caesar do? That's what we want to analyze in class today. Number two, today we have the census where people are counted and the government is able perhaps to plan for the people. It was during the reign of Julius Caesar that the first Roman census was taken. The first Roman census was taken, and that continued on. That continued on. We remember Augustus Caesar is going to reign during the time of Jesus Christ, and we remember Jesus Christ also, the parents going to be counted, moving away from the home country, and that's why he was born in a different country. Therefore, the census continued from Julius Caesar. We'll have it even in the area of Augustus Caesar. Therefore, census, something Julius Caesar, a legacy Julius Caesar left to the world. It was the first time that people were counted. The census was first started during the reign of Julius Caesar. So very important to remember at that particular time. He also set out a time limit in the constitution, which we are talking about, for the governors to rule in the province, the governors to rule the provinces. And like his nephew is going to come up with the project public building, the forum, a square where people will discuss issues, was done during the time of Julius Caesar. So we are talking about a visionary leader, very pragmatic leader, very successful leader, until the senators will conspire to kill him, and they stabbed him 23 times. Very, very successful, very visionary, very practical, very charismatic. You will call Julius Caesar, a person that played a transitional role from the republic to the era of the emperors. Now we don't have the consul. Perhaps you'll say he was the last consul. Julius Caesar was the last consul. Therefore, it is important to remember Julius Caesar playing a very important role in the history of the Romans. Also, at this particular time, he came up with a program of land distribution to the war veterans, land distribution to the war veterans who had participated in some of the military campaign. Julius Caesar embarked on our program to expand the Roman Empire, and he conquered so many places. Gaul, France being one of them, Spain being one of them, extending to Egypt. So in these wars, we had people who fought there, and Julius Caesar was able to make them to be very loyal by giving them land. So it's important to remember some of the landmark reforms of Julius Caesar, astute statesman, playing the very important role as a consul, one of the chief executives of Rome at that particular time. 60 BC, he becomes a consul and takes power and comes up with these reforms and programs we are discussing today. Julius Caesar. And then he established a police force in the Republic and extending it all over the conquered provinces, and the police force was given the mandate of maintaining law and order. So all civil matters dealing with civil disputes had to be handled by the police during the reign of Julius Caesar, coming up with a police force to maintain law and order and arbitrate over civil disputes in the Roman Empire at that particular time. So very visionary, coming up with that. He also extended his building program abroad. He constructed Carthage. We remember Carthage was one of the places the Romans were able to conquer. We remember talking about the Punic Wars, which were between Carthage and Rome, and perhaps Carthage was destroyed in the Punic Wars. And one person that came up with a program to reconstruct Carthage was Julius Caesar, coming up to construct Carthage, which was a province abroad, and Carthage was in present-day Tunisia. So we're talking about Julius Caesar and his reforms after taking over the office of the consul during the Roman Republic. So Julius Caesar astutely playing his role as one of the most memorable consul, somebody that the Romans will admire and will always quote him. One of the quotes, I came, I saw, I conquered. This quote, every day, people say, I came, I saw, and conquered. I'm quoting Julius Caesar. I came, I saw, and conquered. Julius Caesar, still memories are fresh. We still use his quotes. And another one from Julius Caesar, the die has been cast. So Julius Caesar gone, still remembered even today. We still are using the quotes of Julius Caesar. I came, I saw, and I conquered. Perhaps talking about his exploits in various countries like Gaul, modern day France, Spain, if you like it, Egypt, if you like it. Back at home, he was able to win a civil war and still have power and maintain control. Very successful Julius Caesar. Perhaps we're still talking about his reform. We were just a bit off the line. Back to his reform. back to his reforms. Another thing, Julius Caesar established a 365-day calendar, which we are using up to this particular time, comes up with the way to number the days and perhaps plan for the days. So Julius Caesar with his reforms, playing a very important role. 365 days, and some of the days in the calendar, the present day calendar, are named after the Roman gods. So something visionary, something Julius Caesar comes with, and he also ensured there is a distribution of grains to the peasants at that particular time, the plebeians, the lower people in the rank in the Roman Empire, able perhaps to ensure there is what we call food security to them so that they don't suffer shortages, hunger, and starvation was not there during the reign of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, very visionary, very pragmatic, very charismatic, very practical. Julius Caesar and his achievements during the era or the epoch of the Roman Republic, during the era or the epoch of the Roman Republic, coming up with so many reforms, maintaining control both at home and abroad, maintaining control both at home and abroad at this particular time. We are still looking at the changes, the reforms of Julius Caesar at that particular time. A person who also talk about Julius Caesar increasing the number of people in the Senate. When he came to power or became a consul, he only got 300 consuls who were there. But during his reign, the number of consuls is going to increase 600, and then lastly at the end is going to be 900. So expanding the Senate was also one of the achievements of Julius Caesar. He also, he is said to have reduced the debt of the Roman government, perhaps able to be very good economically and clear any debt owed to other countries during that particular time. Julius Caesar, a reformist, if you want to call him, a very liberal at that particular time, very pragmatic, you call him very charismatic. We're just looking at some of the changes of Julius Caesar during the Roman Republic and playing that transitional role from the Republic after he was killed or assassinated. We have the first Roman Emperor, Augustus Caesar. The senators had conspired to take power from the consuls, perhaps, and become the most powerful office, which did not happen. And Augustus Caesar, the nephew of Julius Caesar, becomes the first Roman emperor, but still on his reform agenda. He also reformed the law codes in Rome at that particular time. He reformed the law codes at that particular time. And because of his enormous achievement, there was resentment. In the Roman Republic at that particular time. One of the things that made people to resent Julius Caesar was that he declared himself dictator for life. And we know power corrupts. Historians will tell you, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And therefore, because of the absolute powers he had, definitely he would have started misusing those powers. And another thing, because of his high achievements, and because of that, a lot of pride, the senators conspired and killed Julius Caesar, stabbed 23 times, and he died on the floor of the Senate. Died on the floor of the Senate. The consul that goes in the annals of history as having been killed in Senate is Julius Caesar. But very remarkable. We remember, and the still quote, I came, I saw, and conquered. I came and saw and conquered. That's Julius Caesar. One of his quotes is Julius Caesar, and also the die has been cast is Julius Caesar. But we've seen him very successful and had a lot of legacy that left to the world. We remember historian says, when Rome sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. When Rome sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Very important to remember Julius Caesar playing a transitional role in the Roman history, remembered up to this particular time. Many plays, we remember William Shakespeare, just to mention, has wrote a playbook on Julius Caesar, has wrote a playbook on Julius Caesar, still remembered even with the writers, still remembered even with writers. Here, servants tuning in, tune in, subscribe to this journey as we analyze the Roman history. We are on the series on the Roman history, and we are now doing the 11th video on the Roman series. We've just discussed Julius Caesar. After the other lesson, looking at the political organization of the Roman Empire, we still continue going on. The next lesson will be about Pompeii, an ancient city during the Roman times, and is going to be disrupted by a volcanic eruption. And we are going to perhaps look at the background of Pompeii and look at what we are doing. Living through history, that is the textbook we are using to analyze these topics on the Roman history. All those even in abroad tuning right now, always tune in the morning. The first lesson will be on the Roman history. Thank you so much, Mr. Willis Mondere. Right now, you can subscribe. We can discuss still on other social medias.